You know what's hard? Finding a sunscreen that doesn't pill under makeup or make you look really greasy halfway through the day. You know what's even harder? Figuring out how to reapply it without wrecking your foundation. I've tested a lot of sunscreens and today I'm sharing 5 that actually work. I'll show you how each one looks on bare skin in natural light, walk you through my application tips for the best results, and show you exactly how I apply sunscreen over makeup without ruining the finish. Let's get into it. I want to start off quickly by explaining the differences between chemical and physical sunscreens because there seems to be a lot of confusion in regards to this. So mineral sunscreen is also known as physical sunscreen. And the reason it's called physical sunscreen is because it works like a shield. So it sits on top of the surface of the skin and bounces the sun off like a mirror. So think of wearing a mineral sunscreen like wearing a suit of armor that reflects the UV rays away. The main ingredients in mineral sunscreen or physical sunscreen is zinc oxide or titanium dioxide. So if you have a sunscreen and you are not sure if it's mineral or physical, you just have to look on the ingredient list or in the ingredient deck and you will immediately know. Now, the pros for mineral sunscreen is that it is great for sensitive or very reactive skin. It starts protecting immediately after application. So as soon as you put it on, you are protected. You don't have to wait. It's also less likely to cause irritation or stinging, especially around the eyes. And it's often preferred for like rosacea skin or skin that's very reactive, or even for post-treatment skin. So say you just get some microneedling done in clinic, your skin is raw, but you definitely need sun protection. You're gonna wanna definitely reach for a physical mineral sunscreen. So the cons of a physical sunscreen is that it can leave a white cast, especially on deeper skin tones. It can also feel very thick or heavy on the skin, especially under makeup. So for people like me with very oily skin, it can sometimes be difficult to wear a physical sunscreen because it feels so heavy. Let's move into chemical sunscreen. So chemical sunscreen is more like a sponge. It absorbs the UV rays, then converts them into heat and releases it. It's like having an invisible filter that soaks up the rays before they can do any damage. Now, the main ingredients in chemical sunscreen is avobenzone, octinoxate, and homosalate. I tried to Google how to actually pronounce those, but I just couldn't find a clear answer. So I'll pop up the words on the screen. I'm a makeup artist, not a chemist, clearly. But I do know the pros and cons, okay? So the pros, they're often more lightweight and invisible on the skin. They're easier to layer under makeup. They tend to blend in well across all skin tones. And that is why, as a makeup artist, I love them. I love me a chemical sunscreen, okay? I don't care what anyone says. I love a chemical sunscreen. Now the cons, they can be a little bit irritating to very sensitive skin or to very sensitive eyes. I've heard a lot of people feel like it irritates their eyes the most, even if it doesn't irritate their skin. Another con is that you need to wait 15 minutes for it to activate before you can have any sun exposure. Mineral is instant, chemical is 15 minutes. So in a nutshell, a really good way to remember this is that mineral sunscreen blocks like a mirror, chemical sunscreen soaks like a sponge. All right, before we move on, I have a pro tip that I just learned yesterday from my friend Penn Smith Skincare about sunscreen that was mind-blowing to me. I can't believe I just learned this, and it's something that I absolutely have to share with you. So when you are working with sunscreens, you want to keep like with like. So that means you don't want to top up a chemical SPF with a physical or a zinc-based SPF, especially avobenzone and chemical SPF. When it's topped up with zinc, they can actually inactivate each other. Then you're essentially wearing nothing or less. So for example, say you're gonna use an SPF as a part of your skincare routine, which is great, and then you're gonna use a tinted foundation with SPF, you're gonna double up. Make sure that they are the same type of SPF. You're welcome. I also had no idea. All right, let's move on. Now I'm gonna show you 5 different sunscreens that I really love. Some are chemical and some are physical, and I'm going in the order of the least expensive to the most expensive option. All of these work really well under foundation. I've used them for months and I love them. So the first one is this one. This is Haruharu Wonder Black Rice Moisture Airyfit. This is a chemical sunscreen. Haruharu Wonder does have another one that is a physical sunscreen that Angie Hot and Flashy swears by. She absolutely loves that one. This is the only one I've tried. It's the chemical sunscreen one. It's also absolutely amazing. It has a really lightweight, dewy texture that glides on smoothly, but it doesn't feel overly greasy, and it doubles as a beautiful moisturizer. So if you have combination skin, oily skin, your skin isn't too dry, you can definitely use this as your moisturizer and you will be golden all day long. The next sunscreen that I reach for all the time is this one. It's the Garnier Ombrelle Daily UV Anti-Aging SPF of 60. This is also a chemical sunscreen. Now this is a Canadian brand. You can't get this in the US, but I feature so many products that you can only get in the US that you can't get in Canada that I figured I would tell my Canadian viewers about this. If you're American, you want to skip ahead, there are timestamps at the bottom of the video. This is an ultra light lotion, and because it's so light, the product spreads really evenly and leaves pretty much an invisible, non-greasy finish. It is awesome for layering under makeup. It's not only effective, I just love how water-based it is. It really feels like nothing. It's not gonna make you feel or look like an oil slick, and it's not gonna do anything weird with your foundation either. Okay, the next one that is amazing that I just discovered this year that I'm absolutely loving is this one, La Roche-Posay. Again, this is a chemical sunscreen. So all three of these guys have been chemical sunscreen so far, but don't worry, we're going to talk about physical ones, I promise. This, a lot like this, is ultra lightweight. It's also oil-free. It's quick absorbing with an invisible matte finish. It's not mattifying like another one that I'm gonna show you, but it's not overly shiny either. Something else that's really great about this is it's 80-minute water and sweat resistant. So if you live in a very humid climate, or if you're going to the beach, you're gonna be swimming, you're at the pool, you know, you're doing something very active, I would reach for this one because the 80-minute water and sweat resistance is amazing. It's also developed for sensitive skin, which means that it is fragrance-free, non-comedogenic, and it's hypoallergenic. It also does not irritate the eyes. This is an amazing, amazing sunscreen. It's not cheap, but it is absolutely worth it, especially if you don't like sunscreens that feel too heavy on the skin. All right, moving on to Supergoop. So I love Supergoop. I've talked about them loads of times on the channel. So there's a ton of different ones, but the ones that are most talked about are the matte screen, the unseen, and the glow screen. I've run out of the glow screen. I used to use that one all the time. But what these are is they're actually SPF skincare and makeup primer hybrid products. So they do all three things. They have skincare, sunscreen, and they definitely work as a primer. And the type of formula you get is going to be the type of primer that you want or need. So what does that mean? Basically this. So if you have normal to oily skin and you like more of a matte texture, you can get the matte screen. And this is actually mattifying. It's not like pretend mattifying like certain things. You know, like they say this is a matte finish. This isn't a glowy finish by any means, but it's not a matte finish, whereas this is an actual matte finish. I will show you the texture of it right now. So it comes out like a mousse. Do you see that? And then when you rub it in, you can see that it is mineral because it's much heavier than the other ones. But look at how it's completely mattified my hand. This is the type of sunscreen that I would only get if you have issues with shine. I would not get this sunscreen if you have dry skin. Even if you like a matte finish, I really think it's going to be too mattifying. It might even pill on you. But if you do have issues like I do with shine, you are absolutely going to love this sunscreen. Now, if you think this is going to be too mattifying for you, I want to also quickly show you the unseen because this is a really, really, really unique texture. So this actually looks exactly like Smashbox Photo Finish, and I will show you. That's the Supergoop on this side, and then I'm going to put Smashbox Photo Finish Primer, which isn't a sunscreen, but it's a very beloved silicone-based primer. If you look at these two, you can't even tell which one is which. When I bought the Supergoop Unseen, I couldn't believe how identical it was to the Smashbox Photo Finish Primer. It literally has the exact same texture. If you've used this primer, you know exactly what I mean when I say that it's very slippery. On oilier skin types, I don't love it. I feel like it's like a slip and slide for your foundation. But if you don't have oily skin, you have normal skin or even dry skin, you might really love the Unseen because it has no scent. It doesn't have that kind of traditional sunscreen smell. It does have good protection. It's an SPF of 40. It will make your face very, very smooth, but it does not feel or look like you were wearing sunscreen, and you are, which is awesome. The last one I want to show you is another mineral-based sunscreen, and it is the RMS Supernatural Radiance Serum. Now, this one you cannot get in Canada, so this one is only available in the US. This is an absolutely beautiful, 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 beautiful sunscreen. I don't even know how else to describe it. It leaves you with the most gorgeous radiance, but not too shimmery or too greasy complexion. When I was on vacation in Mexico, this is what I brought with me, and I didn't even touch foundation. This is literally all I wore, and I felt gorgeous all day long. If you have pretty clear skin, you might be totally fine wearing this completely on its own in the summer and like loving it. I certainly did. Now it comes in 3 different colors. There's light aura, medium aura, and rich aura. Medium aura is slightly too dark for me, but light aura is way too light for me. So that's the only criticism I have with this product. I think there needs to be a color in between light and medium, because if you are not light, you're most likely going to have to buy 2, which gets expensive. You might have to buy light and medium and mix them together. That's not necessarily a terrible thing, because in the summer, when you have more of a tan, you can use just medium. In the winter, you can use just light. Those in-between seasons, you can mix. So it's always nice to have the option of having both. But I do wish that there was an in-between color. And I will show you the differences here on my hand between light and medium. It really is quite a big jump from one to the other. But this is a new launch, so I'm sure that they're going to work that out. Regardless of that, if you have wanted to try this one, you definitely should, because it is a magical, beautiful, beautiful physical sunscreen. Now let's move into application. When it comes to layering skincare and sunscreen under makeup, the order really does matter, not just for performance, but for how your makeup wears throughout the day. So here's the order I follow and a few tips that I've learned along the way. The first thing I do is I start with a hydrating toner to plump the skin from within and prep it to absorb everything that comes next. This step is especially helpful if you're over 40 and tend to be a little dehydrated. Next, you can apply any treatment serum that's best for you, whether it's something for brightening, something for firming, something for hydration if you're really dry. You want this to go on before moisturizer so it sinks really properly into the skin. After serum, you can seal everything in with a lightweight moisturizer. Now, the texture of your moisturizer will depend a lot on the type of skin you have. Like I said, I have combination oily skin, so I need to use something really light here, or completely skip this step and just use my sunscreen, because the sunscreens that I have are already hydrating enough for my skin type. If your skin is dry, you may need something a little bit richer than me. You want to kind of feel it out and see how much hydration you need now in this third step. And now for the star of the show, which is the SPF, the star of today's video. This is the most important step, and one that can either make or completely break your makeup. So a few key things to know is that you want to apply a very generous amount. You actually want to apply 1/4 teaspoon. You need to be able to fully cover your face, your jawline, your neck, and your ears. 1/4 teaspoon is gonna feel like an outrageous amount of sunscreen the first time you do it, but it will absorb into the skin, and you just need to trust the process. Then you're gonna let it fully absorb before moving on. That means waiting anywhere from 15 to even 20 minutes. Now, in that time, it's gonna form a protective film, and then you can move on to the next step. You can't move on until you have that protective film formed, or it's going to interfere with the foundation and it's gonna be a mess. So do your skincare as your first step, then do your hair, make your bed, grab your coffee, and then by that time you're like good to apply your foundation. And that brings me to foundation. Now you can go ahead and apply your foundation. I often find that if the sunscreen has some tint to it, like the Supergoop Matte or the Glowscreen or the RMS Supernatural, I don't really need as much foundation because my base is already smoothed and evened out. So I just kind of play with it on that day, see how much coverage I need. And then if I need even more coverage, I go in with my concealer, and I usually focus that around the eyes, sometimes around the nose, or on any little blemishes that I may have. And finally, you can then set with a translucent powder where you want to reduce shine or increase the longevity of the wear. And here is the finished look. So if you notice, what I did was I actually went from the thinnest all the way up to the thickest product. So the least dense to the most dense. That means toner, serum, moisturizer, sunscreen, foundation, concealer, set with powder. Now this is all fine. It's all fine until it's 2 p.m. and we have to reapply, but we don't want to mess up our makeup. So then what? Then what do we do? That is the question, isn't it? I have 3 reapplication methods for you. My go-to method for touch-ups is a setting spray with SPF. It's quick, weightless, and it's perfect if you're out and about and just really need a touch-up, but you don't want to wreck everything that's going on your face. The key here really is to mist very generously, not just a little light spritz, right? I do a few passes over the face. I kind of go aggressive with it actually, and then I let it dry down and I'm good to go. Just make sure that what you're using is a proper SPF rated mist, not just a setting spray with like sun protection vibes, if you know what I'm saying. Now, another option is great if you get shiny or oily throughout the day, and that's using an SPF powder. Okay, now this is an awesome product. My dad, who absolutely hates the feeling of sunscreen, he doesn't like moisturizer, he doesn't like anything wet. I got him this and it's the only way he wears sunscreen. Now, it's not enough on its own. I've tried to tell my dad that 100 times. It is not enough on its own. You don't want to only use this, but I do think it's a good option for touching up on top of the sunscreen that you already have on top of the makeup. This is especially good if you're starting to look too oily, you want to mattify, and you want to reapply your protection. So the way that I do it is I just either use a soft brush or I'll bring a powder puff with me and I'll put the sunscreen on my hand, I'll push my powder puff into it, and then I'll press it across the forehead, the cheeks, the nose, everywhere where the sun is going to hit the most. Again, it's not going to give you full protection on its own, but it is a great supplement. Now, if I'm staying out longer or I really need more coverage, like heavy duty coverage, I'll actually apply my sunscreen to the back of my hand, and then I'll take a beauty blender and I will pick it up on the back of my hand and I will press it into my foundation. One final tip that I have for you is do not skip your neck and chest. I often see my friends putting sunscreen on their face and they don't put anything on their neck and their chest. These 3 areas here, they age so fast and they often get missed. So make sure when you're applying your sunscreen and when you're touching up your sunscreen that you're putting sunscreen on the back of your hands, your neck, your décolleté. Do it all, because beauty is a holistic thing. It's not a paint by numbers. So you want to protect all of you. Now, if you liked this video, I recently made a video all about 5 summer beauty must-have products that I've recently discovered that is really leveling up my beauty game for the summer. So I definitely recommend you watch that one next. I'll link it right here for you because this video's over.